me ask you, how do you deal with that? If because I know you love food, but
Oh yeah.
sometimes we gotta say no to it. How do you say no to all the delicious food?
Just learning how to say no, pretty much. And if I'm to that point where I just take it, I have to just internally tell myself that I'm gonna run it off. Um, but yeah, you just have to discipline yourself to just say no, because that's how it's gonna be in life. You gotta learn how to say no to things that you don't need in your body or just around you. So,
The long-term wins that you're trying to get him.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's really hard to, in the beginning, it's really hard to build the discipline of saying no, because the short-term gratification of just getting something that you like just trumps everything else. I remember just drinking so much Coke in middle school because it tasted amazing, everything, and I would try to walk on the treadmill, burn some calories, but at the end of the day, like the calories from the Coke just overwhelmed whatever exercise I did, so I wasn't making any progress. So is there any foods that you struggle to say no to?
Well, before it was like just a lot of McDonald's type of like burgers and fries were like my go-to things. And it's not only it's cheap, but it's filling and also dangerous to my health. I remember watching what's it called, Super Size Me.
Yes.
Super Size Me. I mean, even with the whole process of showing all of that, like I watched it in high school, I think. And then like they show the process of making the burgers and all of that. I still, as disgusting as it looked, I just continued eating the burgers because I was just
maybe crave the burgers more.
Yeah, it was like happiness right there. It was comfort food. And in the long run, it affected my health and put on the weight for that. So I just had to tell myself to stop going.
Not sure if you do this, but I definitely do. Even now, I still do it. I would, like, when someone would offer me food and I know it's bad for me, I simply just, sometimes I can't say no, just because I don't want to. I feel like I'm being disrespectful to the person that's giving to me. Might be just a mental issue, but like I would make up excuses, or like I would lie about why I don't want it instead of just saying no. No would be perfect, right? I would tell them, I'm allergic to that. I specifically remember me telling people, oh yeah, I'm allergic to that kind of cheese, and it just makes my stomach. And I would tell them like other lies, like oh yeah, that food, it just like gives me a headache. So that way it justifies, it gives the other person a reason of like, okay, this is gonna cause harm to Scott, so I shouldn't do it. Instead of just me saying no, I don't want it, because I didn't want to offend the other person. So I'm not sure you had any situations like that.
I mean, I usually say like, oh, sorry, I already ate. That was kind of my escape to not eating the foods that I didn't want to. And like with Asian culture, we have these large gatherings where the food is just, it's not the healthiest thing on the planet, but they force you to eat.
No, the weird thing is I specifically remember a time when we went to like a dinner with all my other cousins and aunties and uncles. And I remember this one auntie, and she was like, oh yeah, I slaved over, all this food, and I spent hours cooking it. And then I remember, because that was the time I was trying to lose weight. I was like, oh, auntie, I'm just really full and trying to lose weight. And she was like, she started like yelling at me, and she got really angry. And she was like, you don't like my food? Like, it don't taste that good. you don't love me enough to eat all my hard work. And she just guilted me into like eating like way more than I wanted to, and she would just like grab my plate and put it in for me. And at the time, I just didn't want to disrespect her, and even though I said no, she was like she wouldn't take it an excuse. And like I mentioned like in earlier of our conversation, that's the same person that made fun of my weight. It's I'm not sure. Yeah, I definitely think you need to eliminate things in your environment that causes you to overeat, that causes you to make unhealthy decisions.
Yeah.
But maybe you can chime in on this, Kenny. Like how do you remove certain variables of the environment that causes you to make unhealthy decisions when you can't get away from them, like parents and siblings or whatever,
And I know it's tough because I mean, you live in the same house or you see them frequently, so it's a challenge that you just have to, I mean, your family is always going to be your family, and they're always going to be there to say these things that might not make you feel confident about yourself. And you got to take it as your motivation to prove yourself and everybody else that you're a lot better than that. You're gonna feel like you're people are gonna feel disrespected if you just like don't take their offer. But are you happy within is the question. It's a sense of like selfishness to a point. Like, if you're nice and all, it's like, if you're too nice, you're just gonna keep on taking these things in that you don't need. And that's where your discipline comes in. So like living in the same house, it's definitely tough because you're forced to do it when you don't want to. Yeah.
I just want to add on to that. You made a very important point about standing up for yourself. I think you gotta establish values and principles for yourself. And if anyone tries to, step on those principles or block you from getting to your goals, that's when you really have to stand up for yourself, stand up for your values, stand up for just you and your confidence. Because the moment you let them distract you from the path that you're supposed to be on, like you said, they're gonna take a little bit more. So from the beginning, you gotta stand your ground and set the expectations. Like, hey, that's not cool, or no, I don't want, and be really, really firm with it. And that's something that's really, really tough for me to learn. Because in Asian culture, the older person gets the most say and they have the most respect. So me telling my parents or telling my auntie that, hey, no, I don't want to eat that because I'm trying to lose weight. And when I'm trying to keep pushing, it's like, auntie, you gotta listen to me. I love your food, and I love you because I send cards every day to you, or every holiday and your birthday. This specifically, me not eating your food is not correlated to me not loving you, and you gotta get that right. So it's almost like you gotta have an adult conversation for something so silly, and it's like you're standing up for yourself. Like, are we really getting mad about me not eating your food? Like, what's the case here? And then once you have that conversation with them and you stand up for your values, you set the expectation. Now they listen to you. Okay, I can't push Scott or Kenny around, and then eventually they come around and they help you with your goals, And if you just have a real conversation, like, hey, I've had depression, I had mental issues, I'm really insecure about that, and I want to change for the better. And I think the key question that I used was, could you help me? because you're someone that I love and respect. Could you help, help me with my goals? And now all of a sudden, they're like, oh shoot, I want to help my nephew. I want to help my son.
Yeah.
So then
Because they
you
care
get
about you. Yeah.
exactly, and then it's not like manipulating or anything. You're just, trying to get them to be on your team, instead of being on two separate teams fighting each other. Like, come help me. I need your guidance. It's the way you're trying to spin it. And then eventually they'll be like, okay, let me help Scott. Like, let me give you less portions. Let me stop pressuring you to eat all this food. So I think that has helped me. Just being an adult, standing up for yourself and having that real conversation. Because all this time they'll just have assumptions until you tell them, hey, I need help. I'm trying to do this. I think that's worked for me. Complete transparent and honesty.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You shouldn't feel pressured into doing something that you don't want, especially when it comes to your health. It's like you just have to discipline yourself, and instead of having two sides to the issue, you both have to just find the common ground into achieving both sides' goals to everything. Well, I'm glad that relationship is still good. Yeah.
Thank goodness. It was a lot of work. Like for looking back now, it was something so trivial, something so small. It's like, why can't you help me lose weight? but what we need to remember that something trivial to us is like the world for another person. And you can flip it around. Like us losing a few pounds, trying to get fit, trying to get in shape, trying to look a little better. It's the world for us, but for other people, it's just a few pounds, but they don't get it. So we gotta have that conversation and, learn, see each other's perspective. And I feel like this is what this podcast is all about, having those conversations and staying connected. Because if you don't talk to one another with an open mind and, be honest about your insecurities and your vulnerabilities, it's like, how can we really get to the root of things?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people out there right now just dealing with their weight issues, their insecurities, and no one to talk to, and just, they're constantly dealing with these pressures of just their daily lifestyle. And it's good to kind of talk about this, because insecurities are like one of the hardest things to bring out in people. It's like a lot of people don't want to share these things and
be vulnerable.
You just have to set it out, and you're gonna have people there to support you, and you're gonna the biggest competition in life is yourself, and it's a journey that we all go through to overcome all of this.
But learning to love yourself is very hard.
Yes.
But